If you're expecting to fix your back pain from home doing these sorts of exercises, then stop right now, because those are the ones you want to be avoiding at all costs. In this video, we're going to explain exactly why that is and give you some viable alternatives, so watch on. These exercises are some of the most commonly prescribed exercises, whether you've been to your GP, your physio, etc. They always give you these sorts of exercises and you just wonder, why are they still giving them? Well, we're going to dispel that confusion. We're going to give you clarity in this video so you can understand why they've been given to you, why they're not going to help, and start doing the right things immediately. What better way to demonstrate this than actually showing you with the spine here? In most cases, when we're talking about lower back pain, sciatica, those sorts of things, pain down the leg, it's coming from the lower part of our lumbar spine, L4, L5, S1 region, which is this little block of green down here going into the orange, which is your sacrum. In this section here, it can be a variety of things. It can be disc injuries, it can be arthritis, it can be facet problems, but all of these have one thing in common. They create inflammation in this region of the spine, which builds up in the back of the spine here, where these little nerves come out. That buildup of injury, buildup of inflammation and damaged tissue in this region of the spine, the inflammation gives you the pain. It's what causes the muscle spasm, the pain down the leg, and the general aching in your lower back, the thing that cannot resolve or isn't resolving with time. You'll notice if you look really closely in here that it's a fine space, it's a small hole that those nerves have to exit. And when we start to build up a lot of inflammation in that area, trouble can start to occur. Every single one of us has either personally or know someone who has injured their ankle, they've sprained their ankle. Think about right now how much inflammation builds up in that area. And now think about that tiny little hole I just showed you on the spine that you may have injured, and the inflammation is building up in that region. It's only a matter of time before that hole, that bony canal, starts to become fully occupied at 100% capacity. So when it comes to that knee hug, that first exercise that I mentioned, why is it prescribed? Because I think it's worthwhile explaining to you guys why it's been prescribed in the first instance, because that helps you appreciate why you're doing something and why maybe later on, which we'll talk about in this video, it's not a good idea. But that hole that I just mentioned with the example of the ankle, as you do your knee hug and you pull your knees towards your chest, you see what I'm doing here? We're flattening the lumbar curve, we're stretching all these muscles, we're stretching all these ligaments in the back part of the disc, and we're making this hole here larger, which means that that space that was that big is now becoming that big, and that's what decompresses and is supposed to give you some relief. But we're going to talk about now, why is that the worst thing you could possibly do? And do bear with me, because I'm going to show you guys on the board exactly what I'm talking about. It is counterintuitive, but by the middle point of this video, at least, you guys are really going to understand, maybe I've been doing things wrong. So we've got a handy prop here on the board to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. We've got a vertebra, a disc in the middle. We've got the facet joints on the back here. This green bit here is the little nerve, and we've got the ligaments on the back of the spine. And these arrows represent what's happening when you're doing that knee hug, the damage that it's causing. Now, in most cases, your back pain has initially come on because you've bent down to pick something up, you've put the socks on, it's repetitive strain from sitting too long. All of these different things contribute to the strain here. And what happens when we forward bend is the back part of our spine separates and opens out. And we have these strong little ligaments in these back parts of the disc that are supposed to hold it steady, hold it strong. But what happens when we do overload it and we create that injury is they've failed, they've torn, they've become damaged. And you can see that in the red part here. So as they're trying to heal back up, they're trying to join back together again to create stability in your lumbar spine, you're there doing the knee hugs, which is pulling the front part, putting a squashing down on the front of the disc, on the very, very front portion of your spine. You're driving the disc material back, which is ripping open these little discs here, but we're making the hole bigger at the back here, remember? We did mention that. The hole gets larger, so it decreases the pressure here. We're also getting these little ligaments here that are damaged as well, and stretching those out even more. Why is this a problem? Well, those little bits of red that you saw on the board, they're trying to knit back together to provide stability, protection in your lumbar spine. But that exercise that you're doing, although it's making that hole bigger that we mentioned earlier, it's actually pulling those wounds apart. It's like you have a cut on your finger or on your hand here, and you're actively pulling that scab apart. Everyone knows this. Everyone's cut their arm or knee or something like that at some point in the past. And you can see on the surface those tissues migrating back together again to knit back together and heal properly. So why on earth would you want to do an exercise that is directly pulling that wound apart, decreasing stability and making the area much more vulnerable for the long term? This is why it's something that comes back and back and back and back over and over again, because we do these incorrect practices. Your lumbar spine is supposed to have a natural lordosis, and It's supposed to have that backward bending curve to support and protect all these joints so it functions as a nice unit all together moving at one. But if we start to create pockets of instability because we haven't allowed things to heal correctly at that injury site, that's where we can get instability that lasts longer and makes rehab more difficult. But what are we going to do instead of this? What provides relief instead? Now we want to give you guys a little bit of support to know exactly what you should be doing, and what we should be doing is taking pressure off those discs gently, safely. Exercises that gently unload these discs evenly and don't create an awful pivot point and aggressively stretch and damage further tissues. This is like the towel exercise that we talk about, which is taking a rolled up towel around about this large, placing it just underneath that lower back to provide a little bit of support to the natural curve, to put those joints back into the right position, those soft tissues back into the right position so they can start to heal and knit together, and doing this on a regular basis. There's more information on this in our Back in Shape program. There'll be a link up here or a link down here where you can learn more. We have step-by-step guidance, but we can get to that a little bit later. That towel exercise provides support to put you back in the right position. Much like if you've sprained your ankle, you have a support for a short period of time to hold it in the correct position so that we're not causing further damage. Or if we've damaged other areas of our body, at the right time, we want support. Later on, of course, we want mobility and we want to build back up movement. But when you're in the throes of back pain or sciatica, you need to do the right things at the right time, and that can make all the difference. So that second exercise follows perfectly on. Remember, we saw it at the very start of this video, that rocking the knees left and right. Everyone's been given this exercise, and like the first exercise, the knee hugs, these do absolutely nothing to really rehabilitate and fix your back from home. They're just moving things around, and in many cases, they're given to you right as you're in your worst possible position. You're in the most trouble, you're in the most pain, it's raging down the leg or in the lower back and you can't do much. So you wiggle that injury more. It really doesn't add up. It really doesn't make sense. The notion that we can lie on our back and just rock our knees and that somehow is going to fix the lower back, it's not a good idea. And rotation is one of the movements combined with forward bending, that's twisting, and forward bending is a fantastic way to really injure those discs. We've all been there, we've all had that jolt of pain, and maybe right now when you're watching this video, you're in a bit more trouble than you have been in the past. But the notion that we should lie on our back and just start doing that, yes, albeit slowly, but moving through like so, you might even, if you listen closely, can hear those bones banging into one another as we get to the end of range. That's not a good idea. This area is injured. It needs to recover. So we need to be careful. We need to provide stability, and that gets us on to number 2. In response to that first exercise, we spoke about that little towel exercise, which unloads the spine. Well, in response to this second one, the second bit of advice we're going to give you guys is providing stability to counteract this. Not extra mobility, not extra twisting. Right now, you don't need that. You need stability to protect this area and use your own intrinsic support, the muscles and the supporting structures that you have in your own body to protect this area while it goes through that knitting back together process that we discussed earlier on. At the end of the day, back pain doesn't need to be complicated. It really isn't, but you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know you're doing these things incorrectly, you're going to get very frustrated. You're going to go round and round in circles and nothing's going to be fixed. And that is why we put together the Back in Shape program. The Back in Shape program touches on those points when you're most vulnerable, when you need the help the most and you can afford to do things wrong least. And that's our phase 1. And then it takes you through the necessary steps, because you can't be doing these simple rocking exercises or silly little twisting or hugging exercises till kingdom come. You have to progress on to strengthening exercises, which can often be the most daunting task. It can be the thing that you're most concerned or anxious about, getting back into strengthening exercise. What if I injure myself again? Well, that's why we have the guidance, the expert-led protocols with videos to explain how to do these exercises. Again, there's a link up above or down below this video if you're watching it on your phone or your desktop, which will explain exactly how you can get started and start fixing your back from home. The best thing about the Back in Shape program is that you can join for free. It's super easy. You don't need any credit cards or anything like that. Join, get the support you need. Why do we do this? Because we're confident that if you join for free, you look at those valuable lessons, you understand those valuable lessons, you will start to make progress and things will start to click, light bulbs will get turned on. And from there, you'll have the confidence to move forward with all of the support that we offer you guys in the Back in Shape program. Immediately after you've signed up, you're going to land on a website page of ours, which is detailing the full phase 1 protocol. It's around about a 40-minute video that's going to go through step by step how you can do this protocol, these specific exercises with our demonstrations. We're going to walk it through you with all those training tips. It's going to be really, really helpful. Once you've watched that, you can always come back to that at any time you want, but then I'd really encourage you, go ahead and dissect all the other information in phase 1, because that is what's going to help you outside these exercises. There's 168 hours in the week, and if you're doing that one exercise for 30 to 40 minutes once a day, you're going to find there's a lot of other room for improvement, and it's knowing those things that is going to make the difference for you. I really hope you found this video helpful, you've found those tips invaluable, and if you've made it this far, then hopefully some of what I've said has made some sense for you, and you've got at least an understanding of what you need to do now to fix your back pain from home. If you did find it helpful, consider sharing this video, give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's where we put out tons and tons of videos like this to help you better with your back pain from home. Thanks for watching, and we will see you another time with another video. If you want to learn more about the premium Back in Shape membership, there's going to be a video somewhere underneath here. And if you want to stay up to date or tune in to some of our more recent live streams and the Q&As at the end of those, then that's going to be down here. And remember, you can subscribe to the channel up here and hit the notification bell to make sure you know when we next go live, so you can join us for our next live stream and Q&A.